Silence that. Peace, family. Peace, peace, peace. Welcome to the Campaign TV show. I am your host, Brother King Cam, and we have a action-packed show lined up for you tonight. So what we want to do here at the Campaign TV show is we're going to be discussing concerning athletes and activism. That's what tonight's show is about, athletes and activism. And, you know, on the Campaign TV show, what we always do and what we strive to do is to be interactive and make sure that we share. I need you to do these three things, family. We share, we engage in the comment section, and we get this out to as many people as possible because we know that this is going to be an educated platform. We're going to be discussing some things that we like to talk about in the community, and it's going to be really helpful and educational, family. So I want y'all to go ahead, share this out to as many friends as possible. Like, share, and subscribe if you're on YouTube watching this. We need you to subscribe to help build us over there. And again, I want you to get interactive in the comment section because tonight we're going to be dealing with athletes and activism. And it's really key because in this climate that we have today, you see all of the athletes getting more and more involved in social issues, more and more involved in politics and some of the things that have ailed the Black community. So I wanted to talk with a brother who has an in-depth perspective of dealing with the sports industry, talks with a lot of athletes, sit with a lot of athletes, and are able to give us a different side of the coin, if you will. You know, most of us talk about it from our side, but I want to talk with a brother that can give it from the side of the athletes, family. So I'm sitting here with my brother Salahuddin Muhammad. Many people know him as Stacey Elliott, but our brother is Salahuddin Muhammad and wears that name very proudly, the father of star running back Ezekiel Elliott of the Dallas Cowboys. So you see I had to represent, But, dear brother, please let the people know a little bit about yourself.
Well, first and foremost, Brother King Cam, I'm deeply honored to be on your show. And as you said, I am the father of the greatest running back in the NFL right now.
Yes, sir.
Ezekiel Elliott, that proudly as a father. And I started a company before Ezekiel came out of The Ohio State University and was drafted called Fifth Down Management. And I took my name Fifth Down from a historic game I played in when I attended the University of Missouri, Columbia. And I played football and was on scholarship in 1990. I'm telling my age now. We lost to the University of Colorado. They was given a fifth down. And Eric Bieniemy, who was the current offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, was the running back who they said scored on the fifth down, but he didn't even get in the end zone on the fifth down. So that was a fallacy.
Wow.
And it's ironic that he's the offensive coordinator right now under Coach Andy Reid, which was one of my coaches in college at Missouri when we lost in the fifth down against the University of Colorado.
Yes, sir.
And so I started that company, Fifth Down Management and Fifth Down Marketing, to manage athletes and to negotiate endorsements and also help athletes build their brands. And my first client was and is my son, Ezekiel Elliott, the biggest brand to come out of college to the NFL in this modern era.
Come on.
And so going back to when Ezekiel was being highly recruited in high school, I became a person that a lot of families would ask questions about recruitment and just ask questions to get knowledge on helping them help their son make some very important decisions in their life as it related to sports and even choosing of colleges. And I've mentored many athletes, many in the NFL, and many that's still in college.
Praise be to Allah.
Also, when I went to The Ohio State University, I I took a sabbatical from the ministry in the Nation of Islam and went to Columbus, Ohio with my son, where I would later become Urban Meyer's right-hand man, coined me as the ambassador of Buckeye Nation. And what I did for him in that program was help recruit athletes and their families, because at The Ohio State University, we don't only go after the athlete, we go after the whole family.
Wow.
So that's a little bit.
Yes, sir. That's a beautiful history right there, brother, because it really allows us to see some of the things that we don't normally see from the fan standpoint, from the spectator perspective, and those who have children who are aspiring athletes. You kind of give the blueprint on some of the things that you did to help Ezekiel be in a position that he's in. So could you give us a little bit of your experience as you transition from where you lived to actually going and being with Ezekiel throughout his time at Ohio State?
Well, contrary to belief, with some media personalities thought that they said I moved to Columbus, Ohio because I was worried about Ezekiel, his off the field behavior. And that was further from the truth. I was more worried about my son being protected from sheep in wolves in sheep clothing.
Yes,
and and I was more concerned about my son being used up as an athlete and thrown aside when they had no more use for him. I raised my son as I had been taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the importance of education versus sport and play. And sport and play definitely has its place, but throughout the time my son was growing up, we never discussed with him about being a professional athlete or being an athlete in particular. Our discussion is always based on, if you're going to do something, be excellent in what you do, be great in what you do. And so he chose to be great in one area, and that area is athletics. In high school, he was also an accomplished hurdler. He's one of the best in the country coming out of high school. He could have ran track in college too.
Yes, sir.
So when I went to Columbus, it was difficult at times because I had left my family, my wife and my two daughters in St. Louis, to be in a strange place. And not only be there for Ezekiel because he grew up sheltered, coming from a religious family, but also, too, I had other opportunities offered to me to make more income so I could take a better care of my family. So I saw it as a win-win situation at the time.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. So as that transition was happening, I don't know, many people are not aware that you are actually a member of the Nation of Islam. Your family's a part of the Nation of Islam, and that Ezekiel grew up in the Nation of Islam, if you will, under the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan. What effect did that have on his upbringing and him becoming an athlete, a star athlete, mega athlete?
It had a major effect because, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us the importance of education, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad even put a great emphasis on how this world is all about sport and play and message to the black man. We raised Ezekiel. He started at Muhammad's Academy in St. Louis. He went to Muhammad University in Houston. He went back to Muhammad's Academy in St. Louis when we moved from Houston at one point. He always attended some type of black-centered type school, private school.
Yes.
And I thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for giving us vision on that. But I think the number one thing that helped shape Ezekiel, it goes back to when he was 7 years old and he had just started playing Little League. And I went to his game and I noticed that the team didn't have team prayer before the game. And at the end of the game, when we were on our way home or when we got home, I shared this with Ezekiel. I said, son, I have never been part of a sports team that didn't pray before and didn't pray after the game. And I told him, I said, son, this is a dangerous game. Football is a dangerous game. When you go on that field, there are many who never left that field alive. So I told him, always give praise and glorify your God. Pray before and pray after. So he started at 7, and at 25, I see him at the game and he goes off. He does his ritual, and part of his ritual is he prays. Another thing that I taught him from the teaching of Elijah Muhammad, I said, son, your gift is from Allah. I said, so when you're on that field, you're showing and proving that there's no God but Allah who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad to the world. And so when I see him out there and he may be entertaining people through his God-given ability, but the majesty that you see in him is the majesty of the God who came 9,000 miles, the most the Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever.
Yes, sir. And that segues beautifully into the next question, because prior to the 1960s, you didn't see a lot of athletes who were engaged in social activism or dealing with social injustices, especially Black athletes. But then in 1968, you have in the Olympics where the participants in the Olympics at the receiving the medals held up the Black Power fist. And in 68 was in the midst of the civil rights movement. You had all of the Black organizations, NAACP, SNCC, the Nation of Islam, Martin Luther King, and we was Black Power. And as that moved towards throughout the 70s and the 80s, you have a lot of entertainers now getting more socially active. You have Jim Brown as well, who was a notable athlete who was part of the struggle. Now in 2020, you see where, well, even before 2020, you see in 2016 where Colin Kaepernick takes a knee for injustice. And there is a big, big outcry about that. I want you to tell us, after I play this clip of the minister, because I want to put this in perspective, because the minister talks about the Colin Kaepernick situation. But then I want you to talk to us about the mindset of athletes after they saw what Colin Kaepernick was under. But I want to go ahead and show us this clip of the minister, because he's going to speak on the Colin Kaepernick situation and talk to us and really show us how they manipulate certain things. When we stand up for good, they manipulate it and try to make it seem bad. So here's the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Colin Kaepernick took a knee. That brother was not trying to disrespect the flag. That's right. He was disturbed over the police killings of Black and brown people outside of the law of justice. And he wanted to draw attention to it, because all of the evil that we have suffered, we suffered it under the Confederate flag, and we suffered it mostly under the so-called American flag. That's right. That's right. So Colin took a knee on September 1st, 2016, when the flag was presented and the national anthem was played. It has generated much controversy. But did you know that there's a code on how to respect the American flag? The Congressional Research Service, CRS, prepared a report for members of Congress in 2009 on the federal law relating to the U.S. flag and its display, which was enacted by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, president, in 1942. The CRS report says the flag code is designed for the use of such civilian groups or organizations as may not be required to conform with regulations promulgated by one or more executive departments of the federal government.
Come on.
You don't have to conform. And there's no punishment. That's right. According to the code. Let me go on. Section 4 of the flag code covers the Pledge of Allegiance. Congress has, by U.S. Code Statute 36, yes, I want to get it right, designated the national anthem as the Star-Spangled Banner and set out the proper conduct during its presentation. Listen to this. No penalty or punishment is specified in the flag code. Lastly, the flag code is not a mandate of federal law. It does not proscribe conduct, but is merely declaratory and advisory, meaning it does not give punishment. Yes, sir. Let me go on. Yes, sir. Section 8 of the flag code is entitled Respect for Flag. And it gives all the things that are in the code of disrespect for the flag. And guess what? One such act that shows disrespect for the flag reads, point number C, the flag should never be carried flat or horizontally, but always aloft and free. Now, is that flag horizontal? That's disrespect of the American flag. And when my brother takes a knee and his brothers join him, the President of the United States calls us sons of bitches. Now, when I was young, say something about mom. Those are fighting words, brother.
There you have it, family. You know the minister always gonna bring it. The minister gonna bring it because he talked about the hypocrisy. This is what he was highlighting, the hypocrisy of those who tried to demonize Colin Kaepernick, demonize those who stood with Colin Kaepernick because they felt that this was the way for them to voice their dissatisfaction with the way we was being treated and social justice issues. But when you get down into it, They disrespect the flag each and every time they start a game, and each and every time they have a ceremony. So it's not about the disrespect of the flag, but it's about who decided to say something about what was going on. So, Brother Muhammad, could you go and tell us more about the mindset of the athletes between that time and now as it pertains to dealing with social injustice?
Well, first, I want to veg back and talk about the flag.
Yes, sir.
And respect of the flag. And as it relates to Ezekiel Elliott with the Dallas Cowboys, and bring it right up to the question that you posed to me about just the mindset of the athletes now from 2016.
Yes, sir.
As a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as you know, he has taught us never to disrespect the flag.
Yes, sir.
Because the flag represents a sovereign nation. And if we are on the path to becoming a sovereign nation ourselves, when we do become that and raise our flag, we would not want someone to do to us what we had done to them. And so because it represents a sovereign nation and we respect that, I taught Ezekiel at a young age never to disrespect the flag. Taking a knee was suggested to Colin Kaepernick by a former military man.
Mm.
But as you alluded to, it's really not about disrespect of the flag, but it's about those who want to interpret what respect is and what disrespect is. And because Colin Kaepernick stood up through his symbol of taking a knee during the national anthem, which is a racist song too.
Mm. Yes, sir.
Just because you leave a verse out that talks about the enslavement of Black people, the the injustice of Black people, don't mean the song is not racist. So I taught Ezekiel never to, at that time I said, don't even take a knee, because Colin Kaepernick wasn't the first to do that. And he wasn't the first to not stand during the national anthem. But what I taught my son at a young age and all my children is that we do not pledge our allegiance to a flag.
Come on now.
We give our allegiance to none but God.
Come on.
Because in allegiance, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us, is all. And all our being, all our soul, everything about us, everything should be to God and God alone. Not a flag, not a song. So I told my son years ago, when the national anthem is sung and the flag is honored, you stand there at attention, but never put your hand over your heart, pledging your allegiance to that song or that flag. And I think Almighty God, Allah, to this very day, he does exactly that before the game. But the mindset of the athletes from 2016 to 2020, they are becoming more courageous.
Yes, sir.
When you're a multimillionaire, you're making good money, it's easy to find a comfortable place in life and don't care about the injustice and the struggles of your people. It's really easy to do that. But to be honest with you, I am starting to encourage athletes to not show symbolism but substance. What do you mean, Brother Salahuddin? You know, most athletes are not multimillionaires. A lot of people don't realize that. And most multimillionaires don't become millionaires until they're middle-aged men. So what that implies is that fiscal maturity comes with age.
Right. Yes, sir.
If you was to look at the average age of the multimillionaire black athletes, whether it's football, NFL, whatever profession we are in sports, I would say it's probably the average age is between 24 to 30. Well, what were you? Well, I don't know how old you are, but I know what I was doing. I was 24 years old.
Yes, sir.
My son was drafted and became a multimillionaire at 20 years old. I know what I was doing at 20 years old.
Yes, sir.
And I wasn't a multimillionaire. Well, what am I saying? What I'm saying is what I want to do is inspire the athletes of the world, like Ezekiel Elliott's and the LeBron Jameses and the Odell Beckham Juniors and their families to take that money and empower themselves, their community, and their families. Because every year, dear brother, 32 teams make 32 multimillionaires who go to 32 cities. And most of those athletes are black. And basically all they doing is giving them 32 cities a stimulus package through that athlete. We got to change that.
Wow.
We have to pool our resources. So one day I was with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he told me, he said, brother, don't worry about Ezekiel. Allah has him. He said, but you tell him to get with his brothers and rebuild the wasted cities. They have the money to do that. But when they're surrounded by people who don't have the same aim and purpose or goals that for them to do something for their people, then they don't get advised. And it's easy to just be 20, 25, 30 years old, young with a lot of money, and really blow it and go broke.
Yes, sir. Wow, that's heavy right there, because a lot of people would say, well, why they not standing up? When Colin Kaepernick decided to take his knee and other people was supporting them, whether they was either taking a knee, locking arms, or putting a fist up, there was a split within our community because some people thought you should go as hard as Colin. You take the knee. Then some people were saying you can't lock arms, you can't do this, you can't do that. So why do we expect these young athletes now, because you bring it into perspective, now you're talking about 20, 21-year-olds, to be way out there on a limb? And it's usually the older brothers that's telling them this too. Why are we expecting them to be out on the limb like this when it comes to social issues?
Brother King Cam, I want you to think about something, and I'm just going to put this out there for us to think about. How many times have you heard Colin Kaepernick speak?
Maybe once. Maybe.
During this last year, with all the riots going on, all the protests going on around the country, Breonna Taylor, how many times have you heard Kaepernick speak?
None.
I wonder why. Do you know that Colin Kaepernick entered into a settlement with the NFL? And a part of that settlement was he couldn't discuss how much the NFL gave him and the terms of that settlement. Did you know that?
So they gagged on him. Yes, I heard of that. I heard about
Okay. Now, I started a marketing company, Fifth Down Marketing. My son, every year since he's been in the NFL, is one of the most highest paid athletes with marketing deals in the NFL.
Yes, sir.
He has a contract with Nike. I negotiated it. Nike does not give millions of dollars to football players. Colin Kaepernick, as a name, when he played in the NFL, and now is not bigger than Ezekiel Elliott. So if Ezekiel Elliott can't get $1 million Nike contract, and he hasn't opened his mouth hardly dealing with any social injustices in the public. How does Colin Kaepernick get $1 million Nike contract when he's not even playing football? He signed a Nike contract after he was out of the NFL. He has a national Nike commercial, and he's paid at least $1 million, I know, with Nike. I'm not hating on my brother. I'm just posing questions because we know the enemy is wise.
Yes, sir.
And we know while the black man is playing chess, while the black man is playing checkers, the enemy is playing chess. So everybody want to talk for Colin Kaepernick, but you don't hear him talking. And I brought this up before, and some black person said, yeah, well, he did enough talking. Okay. I mean, that's a way to look at it. But I find it, but because I'm into sports, business, I know that the enemy don't just give you money, especially Nike.
Right.
Unless they're going to get something on their return. And I do have a personal problem with entering an agreement with Nike, with the NFL, them paying you an undisclosed amount of money that you can't tell the public what they gave you, but we running around here putting our lives on the line because you took a knee. See, taking a knee to me is a symbol without substance. We need substance today.
Yes, sir.
We need economic power today. So why don't Ezekiel Elliott and Odell Beckham Jr. and LeBron James and Colin Kaepernick, why have they not came together in unity and pooled their millions of dollars in unity and did something for themselves and black people? You want to injustice for black people today? Put your money together and create your own reality.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's a powerful statement because that's one thing you haven't seen any of the athletes do. Either
and you won't, brother King Cam. You won't do it because when you start talking like that, when you start walking like that, you become revolutionary. You're a threat. The NFL should be ashamed of themselves for talking about Black Lives Matter. See, that's a joke. They know that black lives at this point don't even matter to black people. We get more excited over white police killing black people than black people killing black people. If Black Lives Matter, Black lives would matter when black people kill black people. Another thing on that note, Black Lives Matter is a beautiful slogan, but Black Lives Matter, the organization, is something totally different. So the enemy, the NFL, they giving that organization millions of dollars for something they don't even stand for. They don't stand for Black Lives Matter. Go to their website. They don't talk about the black family, the plight of the black man, the inequalities of black people. So we're being played with, brother.
yes.
I love brother LeBron James. I love his team. I love Maverick Carter, his manager. I've sat down with them and talked to learn and drink from his cup about management in the sports business. But we can open a school up. But if this education is still white supremacy, I don't care if a black teacher is teaching it, but we got to stop having these symbols without substance.
Yes, sir. So why do you think that a lot of these athletes choose, especially ones that are perennial, such as like LeBron James, who don't necessarily have to play any more sports? Basketball is slightly different than football because the money, the way that it's structured, they're guaranteed contracts versus the NFL not having guaranteed contracts. So why do you think those all-stars, the ones like LeBron James, don't adopt the same mentality that you're talking about?
Because this mentality is rooted in the teaching of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad under the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And our people still act like slaves. Like, being a slave is a mentality. A slave is going to beg his slave master to give him justice, something that's not even in him. Never in the history of the world has the oppressed and the oppressor became equal. Never in the history of the world has the slave and the slave master became equal. Like, it doesn't make sense because it's never going to happen. So we need to spark the consciousness up of these athletes. My son was drafted at 20, but he's 25 now. He's not the same person he was when he was 20 years old. But inshallah, what I have put in him from the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's guidance will grow and mature in him as he matures as a man. And I see it happening. But we need not just one, we need to spark these athletes to think independent. Okay, I'm LeBron James, I'm Ezekiel Elliott, I'm Colin Kaepernick. Nike gave me $1 million contract a year. If Nike can pay Ezekiel Elliott $1 million a year, how much money they making off of his name, off of his image, off of his likeness, off of his brand? So why don't Ezekiel Elliott create his own shoe and his own company to employ his own people? See, the problem is the athlete, even if he is conscious, is not surrounded around a team of people who are conscious and who can stir them down the path of being free.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And what you're talking about is about ownership. So we're getting into what Master P talked about and has been talking about for a long time, but the recent release of his documentary has allowed it to be a lot more in the open now. He's been doing interviews, but he talked about ownership and what he's doing and what he did with No Limit Records and how he started that independently and that group. And then he got into understanding brands, understanding products, understanding your own worth, because he was offered a certain amount of money and left it on the table because he said exactly what you pointed out. If Nike will give Colin Kaepernick $1 million or $100 million, how much more money are they making off his name, off his likeness? What is his real and true value? Master P thought the same thing. If they'll offer me $1 million up front, what is my true value? How much money could I really make? So we have to now start to think in the terms of ownership. And one of the things I like that 19 Keys talks about is ownership over the slave ship. See, when you own it, can't nobody tell you anything to do with it.
That's right.
When you own it, can't nobody tell you what to do with it. And you're able to employ your people. You're able to put back into the community what you want to put back. It's not just schools. It's not just recreation centers. It's not just symbols without substance. But you're able to really make an impact in the community. So I think that was a good point to bring up, that ownership, because that's something we haven't seen done. Just recently, you saw the NBA sit out 24 hours. Now, we thought it was going to go a lot longer. We thought it was going a lot longer than 24 hours, the way they was moving. People was walking off TV sets. I mean, Kenny Smith in the middle of his show with Shaq and Charles, he got up and left. And, you know, we thought it was going to be longer than that. And then they changed the tune within 24 hours. Could you give us some perspective on that?
Well, our people are like sheep, emotional sheep, without a good shepherd. Yeah, you can protest and not play, but once again, you talked about ownership. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has reverberated for many years, do for self, or self for the consequence. The reality is you don't hear not one athlete talk about, you know what, y'all don't like us, y'all don't love us, you don't think that Black Lives Matter, let's start our own league. You don't hear that talk.
No, sir.
Because that talk is revolutionary.
Yes, sir.
So if walking off the set of The Slave Master, not playing the game and earning the slave master money, if that shakes him up, what really would shake up his world if we did for ourselves, owned our own networks, owned our own teams, owned our own leagues, owned our own likeness and our own brands? What would that do to this enemy?
Absolutely. It'll take it all the way down. And it makes me think about with Jackie Robinson and the backdoor move that they used Jackie Robinson for, which was to eliminate all of the Black Negro leagues to integrate Jackie Robinson into the major leagues, because they understood that the major leagues was losing money. Major leagues was losing games. They didn't have nobody that was really box office or anything over there in the major leagues. And they had to play against the Negro leagues. So Satchel Paige, Jackie Robinson, all of the Hank Aaron, all of our superstars was kicking their butt over there in the major league. So they said, let's integrate. Let's use that deceptive intelligence of integration. Let's use that lie. Get the brother over here to play with us and make it seem like it's a victory for them. And all along, they shut down the Negro leagues. They shut down our brands. We had everything for ourselves. And it's the same trick. They never changed the move. They never changed. It's the same play. So they never changed it because they did it with our Black-owned businesses and all of the 60 Black-owned towns. They came with the integration. We wanted to go eat with them, and then they closed down all of our restaurants. We wanted to go shop with them. They closed down all of our malls and entertainment. We wanted to go to the doctor with them, and they shut down all of our doctors and our pharmacies. So that's the same move that they use. So we have to now get to a point where we are utilizing different platforms, Black media outlet platforms, getting and expanding our own brands. And this brings me to this, because Big Baller Brand with LeVar Ball's father kind of started going in that route. And it was crazy because a lot of people laughed at him when he would go on the shows and talk about his brand and how much the shoes cost and things of that nature. But he was moving towards ownership. Could you give us some insight on that move that LeVar Ball was making? And, is that what we should be doing moving forward?
Most definitely. I did it with my son. I just didn't go on ESPN and talk about it.
Oh, yes.
Brother LeVar Ball, next to him, I'm one of the most recognizable fathers of any sports celebrity in America next to him. And so I watched what he was doing from afar, but I had already been doing my own thing for my son behind closed doors, because I felt that there's different ways to skin a cat. Yes, so sir. When my son came out, the general contract that you would call a shoe deal is really a head to toe deal, meaning that the shoe companies like Adidas, Nike, they want control of what you wear on your head and what you wear on your feet, head to toe.
Yes, sir.
So if I want to get my son a Cazal glass deal and I sign that type of contract with Nike head to toe, I can't get him that deal because he has to wear Nike glasses.
Right.
But what I did for my son was, before he went pro, while he was in college, I was putting together his off the field business with the team that I selected for him so that he could own his own brand, have his own merchandise. The day he became pro, his website, shopzeke.com, was activated.
Yes.
And his personal company, Ezekiel Elliott LLC, was activated so that he could start reducing his tax burden, because that's the number one person you're going to pay when you're making that kind of money, the IRS. So how do I help my son maximize his earnings through reduction in taxes?
Yes,
and so one of the ways is you run that money, off the field money, through your LLC or some type of company that you create.
Come on.
My son, I didn't know at the time, would become in the last 5 years, the top 3, sometime number 1, sometime number 2, sometime number 3 seller of licensed NFL merchandise.
Yes, sir.
But he had his own merchandise licensed by him through his own site. So some of that money he gets through his own personal site. There's no middleman. There ain't nobody cutting nothing off. They're getting his merchandise right through his own website. That's ownership.
Right. Yes, sir.
I have some other ideas that we haven't brought into fruition yet, but everything is about ownership. Everything is about ownership. So LeVar Ball, he was on the right path. But what the thing LeVar Ball know is that business is warfare.
Come on.
And you don't hear nothing about him anymore right now because he couldn't handle the pressure of everybody coming at him. And sometime in our own inexperience, we make mistakes that will move us out. So there's a price to pay. I have been, and I'm paying that price just to be Ezekiel's father and be out in the forefront. Everyone knowing in the industry, Ezekiel's father ain't gonna just let you suck his blood.
Right.
So everybody don't love me. So I have to watch my walk because the enemy's always looking to knock you off when you were the gatekeeper.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, brother LeVar Ball, I hope and pray to Almighty God that he, is still achieving some of the things he's wanted to do for his sons and his family. I understand that, brother, because I'm a father just like him. But I understand the enemy a little better than him because I'm a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And quickly, family, I just want us to we're going to go and have a little quite quick commercial break because we want to make sure that we are, sharing and promoting Black brands. And what I want to show you all right here is our Rise magazine. This magazine is the issue that we have this month, which is the Peak of Greatness with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on the front of that from his July 4th message, The Criterion. If you haven't listened to that, you want to listen to that because that's divine guidance in this time. And with this magazine, the Rise magazine is dedicated to small businesses and also uplifting Black people, Black business, Black art, Black creatives, and everything here coming out of the mighty South under the leadership of Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad. So as you can see, these are some of the pictures from the magazine, Black-owned farms. We had our dear brother Rizza Islam come to support the magazine and the Water family. So if you would like to order your Rise magazine, you can go to risemagazineco.com, risemagazineco.com, and you can see this is some of the other beautiful pages and articles within the magazine. This is our dear mother, Khadija Farrakhan right here. We have a article dedicated to the wife of Student Minister Sharif, Sister Sharifa Muhammad. We have an article dedicated to our brother Chadwick Boseman, who just recently passed. Obviously, today is the birthday of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the eternal leader in the Nation of Islam. We always have him front and center in the Rise magazine. And then we also have more Black excellence from our people, our businesses. Our next issue coming soon, family. So you can get this Black-owned media coming straight out of Atlanta at risemagazineco.com, risemagazineco.com. So we want to make sure that y'all get that because this is very important to what me and Brother Salahuddin was talking about as it pertains to ownership, family. Black media is very important. Media is very important when it comes to establishing yourself as an independent people. So in order for our businesses to be patronized, they have to be put out in the media. So it's very, very important that we do that. So you want to support that and make sure you get your copy today. Now, Brother Salahuddin, we was talking about brands and ownership and things of that nature. Again, Master P made it clear because after your playing career, after your rap career, you're only hot 3 to 5 years as a rap artist. then you have to reinvent yourself in some type of way. How are you able to, or what are the discussions like with you and Ezekiel as y'all plan for product development and branding with other merchandise?
Well, I think that one of the things about Ezekiel is he's going to grow into a powerful businessman, because that's just how we raise our children. And outside of the home, he's been surrounded around peers who are about business. And so what I see in him, there's no doubt in my mind that whatever business he gets into, matter of fact, he has some business going on while he's playing right now.
Yes, sir.
And so where he's made some millions of dollars already. So obviously right now with the season going on, I don't really talk to him much about things like that. We did just start the Ezekiel Elliott Family Foundation, and I'm the chairman. And my goal as a chairman and as an organization, we're going to raise between $5 to $10 million next year, God willing. And I want to be able to just write checks to help people for the most part, more of a philanthropy type of family foundation. But I say that to say that's business too. Being able to bring people together who, when people have money, they're looking to donate to worthy causes, and so, but anyway, to go back to Ezekiel, I've been talking with Ezekiel, and we've been making moves when it relates to that since he was in college.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. So what is in your opinion, the correlation between the mindset of ownership and understanding that is a principal need in order for independence? When you look at the artists, certain artists, music artists like T.I. or specifically Rick Ross, who has made investments in things like real estate. You see a lot of hip hop artists, even the young hip hop artists, talking about purchasing real estate, purchasing different businesses. Rick Ross got the franchise. Even his property at the Evander Holyfield residency is an investment for him. What do you see resonates with them as far as that mindset?
Well, what you see in those brothers is people, young men who are talking about doing for self, and they're realizing that, hey, listen, instead of throwing $100,000 away on a watch, and you know what I'm saying, and a watch only being worth $50,000, how about I put $100,000 on a farm? Like we have a farm in Columbus, Ohio. Real estate is where it's at. So it's like, it's good.
Yes, sir.
But can you imagine if more athletes start like that and were more verbal? Could you imagine the reach that LeBron James has?
Yes.
If he talked like Rick Ross? Rick Ross got a reach, but Rick Ross he ain't reaching as many people, I bet, who got the resources to do that, like a LeBron James. Just on LeBron James' team, he got people who got the resources. So if LeBron James, and like I said, I'm not hating on him, I love my brother. If he has the power to inspire them to win championships, we need LeBron James and the Ezekiel Elliott's of the world to inspire their peers to win championships off the field.
Come on, that's
a beautiful thing, though. And I know the enemy is afraid, because if more people think like Rick Ross, and that's another thing, Rick Ross ain't on ESPN talking like that. Rick Ross ain't on Fox Sports talking like that. Rick Ross ain't on mainstream media talking like that. But when Rick Ross talk like that, that ain't just symbol, that's substance. A lot of our athletes, Black Lives Matter. That's a symbol. Putting your money towards something, that's substance.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Well, this is the last question, dear brother, and then I'm gonna let you go. I want to hold up a whole lot of your time. We are very appreciative of you sitting down and discussing all of this with us. But you mentioned your marketing and your marketing company, Fifth Down, and Master P also had a sports agency at the big when he was coming into after he had got out of No Limit and was coming out of the music and starting to broaden himself into different things because he was playing in the NBA at this time as well. So he wanted to, expand into that field. What advice or what things have you learned, from having an agency dealing with brands and dealing with, some of the power players that's in this, because you don't see a lot of Black sports agents or representation for our brothers and sisters who are athletes. So like you shouted out LeBron's team, and his team always gets a lot of kudos for the way they move and they set LeBron up real nice. So could you just give us your experience on that for some people that may be interested in going that way and how you could assist in that?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question. And once again, I'm honored to be on your show. To be honest with you, the sports business is very cutthroat. But what we brought to the sports industry is a blueprint that no one uses. The sports industry right now is like unto a doctor, a heart surgeon who performed heart surgery 40 years ago. 40 years ago, if you had something wrong with your heart, the doctor would break your cavity, chest cavity, open you up, and go in and fix your heart. But in this modern era, the heart surgeon can go through your groin, through your aorta, he can go through your vein in your arm to your heart and perform the same operation. Well, 40 years ago, when your chest cavity was cracked open, the risk of complications was higher. In the sports business, they say the statistic is 80% of the athletes, Black athletes in particular, are going to be broke. So that implies that 20% will not be broke. Well, if that 20% is successful in a system that 80% is unsuccessful, then the system itself is no damn good.
That's right.
So the blueprint that Fifth Down has brought to the sports industry is a blueprint that looks at the athlete and says, first, you're a brand, you're a corporation, and you as a brand, we want to build your brand off the field bigger than what you do on the field. So going for football, we want your brand to be developed and made bigger off the field than what you're known for in football. Because football ain't gonna last forever. But your brand can develop, can grow as long as you're alive. A matter of fact, your brand can get even bigger from the grave.
That's right. That's right.
In doing that, we teach the athlete that to set up his off the field business and his finances as though he inherited this money. So I'll give you an example. I said to myself, what's the difference between Ezekiel Elliott getting drafted April 28th, 2016, signed a $25 million contract, guaranteed $16.9 million. All of it was guaranteed, but for just signing his name, Ezekiel Elliott, he got $16.9 million.
Yes, sir.
The mentality in sports and outside of sports, even with the families of these athletes, is he hit the lottery. Well, when you have a hit the lottery mentality, it's a money grab. Everybody trying to get what they can because the money ain't going to be there long. At Fifth Down, Brother Salahuddin say, no. On April 28th, 2016, Ezekiel Elliott started to receive some of his inheritance. And instead of putting all your money in the bank so someone else can manage it and get paid, how about take $5 million of that and put it in a trust? That if you do lose your damn mind, the other $9 million, you can blow it, but that $5 million, you'll never be able to blow it because we have set up something to protect you and your family from themselves.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They don't do that in sports.
No, they don't. They don't.
It's that simple. And when you put money in a trust, that money is untaxable. And that money is in an interest drawing money market account that you can live off just the interest a year.
Yes, sir.
That's simple. So what we are doing for the athletes and their families is our blueprint is to reverse that 80% not being successful to 99% being successful, and that 1%, that 20% being successful. Now, actually, we want the 99% to be successful and that 1% unsuccessful. And that's just the knuckleheads, no matter what you tell them, because I've dealt with them kind.
Right. Yes, sir.
Because they got all this money, they think right now they never going to go broke. And I understand. I got a glimpse of what your bank account can look like. Not Ezekiel Elliott's bank account, but I understand. When you have so much money more than you had in the past, you don't know what broke is anymore.
Right. Yes, sir.
But there's still a broke. And there are different types of broke.
Yeah, that zero just moved. That's all.
So we need more Black people to get in the industry, but not practice the ways of the surgeon 40 years ago. Because remember, we don't want symbol, we need substance. So if you go to medical school to become a heart surgeon and you're trained to perform heart surgery like they did 40 years ago in 2020, then you're no different than a white person doing it or a Black person. And the truth of the matter is we do have quite a few Black people in the industry, and for the most part, ain't none of them no damn good.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because that made me think about what Master P was saying in the documentary when he talked about what happened between when they signed Ricky Williams. They had Ricky Williams as their first athlete to come to them, and the deal didn't go, and it didn't go the way they expected it to go, but it wasn't their fault. It was they allowed the athlete to really make his own decisions, but all of the backlash fell back on Master P and No Limit as if they were incompetent to what they were doing. And then also, again, you have those who are color but operate the same as the enemy. So it puts a bad taste in the mouth of athletes or families that come across the same, no matter what color you are, you still practicing the same, still practicing the same way. So it's a beautiful thing what you're doing and what brothers like LeVar Ball are doing, because it shows that the Black man, especially the Black father, is there and is active and moving in a way to establish the family as it should for generational wealth. Because all you hear about is the lineage of, all of these white boys and they daddy, Peyton Manning daddy. They talk about Archie Manning and he was not that good. But New Orleans was not that good when he was playing, right?
Exactly.
It's not like he was winning, like Peyton was winning and Eli was winning, but they always bring up Archie Manning and he's the, that's the royal family of football.
Right.
And, all of these other ones, whether it's basketball or football or other sports, the family, it's a family thing. And what the enemy teaches us is that you shouldn't do business with your family. When America is built on family businesses.
That's
all
it.
All of the Fortune 500 companies, all of these big companies are family business. Goldman Sachs, Walmart, whether you eating them Dean sausages for our brothers and sisters that still eating pork, all of that is family-owned business.
Everyone.
Every last one of them is a Sam's Club. Yep. Everything is a family-owned business.
That's right.
So they giving you reverse or trick. It's tricknology. Let me give you straight from the teachers.
That's right.
Tricknology.
That's right.
They work with your family, but they gonna work with their family and eat off your family while y'all
all day. And ours die broke and leave a legacy of shame, and their children can keep eating off our children. And I said as a father, that's not gonna happen in my life.
Yes, sir.
And I'm fighting like hell that it don't happen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because, as the minister brought this up in a lecture one time about, the powerful families, whether it's the Kennedys or the Bushes, all of this is generational wealth.
That's right.
Doing things and establishing things. Even though John F. Kennedy's father was not a pristine, he wasn't making money in a pristine way. But he took that money that he made, and then he made it legit to set up his sons so that they can be in power position. So I'm not going to be a politician, but I'm going to set this money up so I can have a son that's a senator. I can have a son that's a president. I can have sons that's in power positions now to set up the Kennedy family for a legacy of dominance and prominence. So,
Cam, this is the thing, and if I could say this, and I say this to families, and we're living this, is that, remember I said earlier, you didn't hit the lottery. It's a lottery, hit the lottery mentality in sports and entertainment. You started receiving your inheritance. What happens is they give our children this money when they're becoming a man. When you in transition from a boy to a man, you start spelling yourself. You think you know every damn thing. Mm. The enemy understands science. He understands timing. So you're 20, you're a multimillionaire. You already about to turn 21. You start smelling yourself. You start challenging what you was raised on.
Yes, sir.
But you got millions. So now the enemy comes with, he makes something fair seeming with an evil suggestion in it, though.
Yes, sir. Yes.
21-year-old, I was talking to somebody today, and I was sharing with them. My son was 20 when he got drafted. A millionaire, but he's still 20. He's a 20-year-old with $1 million. Mm-hmm. That money don't make him know what I know. Mm-hmm. He ain't lived long enough to know what I know. Mm-hmm. Experience what I've experienced. Mm-hmm. So now your agent, your money market, your financial advisor, all these people around you start becoming your confidant. Mm-hmm. And your dad or your mom don't know nothing.
Right. Yes, sir.
The separation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right.
So the parents and the families end up on the outside looking in. And there ain't no generational wealth because the enemy puts in your child's mind, this your money.
Right.
Your dad ain't no agent. LeVar Ball ain't no damn marketing agent. What does he know? Mm-hmm. That's another thing that I know has happened to brother LeVar Ball. He had to deal with because I've dealt with it. Yes, the whispering in the ear of your child, man. Stacey Elliott, man, your dad don't know what he's talking about. Oh, your dad did a bad deal. You're always going to be your son's father, but you ain't always got to be his agent. So when you look at Joe Jackson and Beyonce's father and the Williams girls' fathers, and I'll be damned if I end up like them, because that's the ultimate, the separation, man.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They use some indiscretion of your father. Maybe he wasn't a faithful man to your mother. So the enemy uses that to separate.
Beyonce father.
Divine and conquer. And before you know it, when the smoke cleared, the white man done ran off with your money, your child's money, and now your son, your daughter, the talent, want to come back to the family and have nothing.
Mm.
And receive the same love, man. This vicious cycle, brother, that keep going on. It is my job, it is my calling, it is my duty to play a role in breaking this cycle.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wow, man, that was some powerful jewels that you gave us right there, brother Salah. It's something for us to go now and to marinate on, for us to start thinking about in our own personal lives when it comes to doing for self in general. Because the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said we need to do for self or suffer the consequences as mentioned earlier. So brands and products and establishing yourself, understanding the taxes and things like that, because a lot of us is upset because Donald Trump paid $750 in taxes. That's not something that you should be upset about. You should be trying to learn what Donald Trump knows so you can pay $750 in taxes. See, that's not something to be upset about. That's understanding the loopholes in taxes so that you can pay them the least without them being all the way in your pocket, so you can keep most of your money. So that's something right there. Again, we have to get out of this emotion, rise above emotion into the thinking of God. Brother Salahuddin, can you tell the people how they can reach you, how they can get in contact, keep up with you and the things that you have going on?
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. I can be reached on Instagram, ambassador_Elliott. That's ambassador_Elliott. You can reach me on Twitter, Stacy_Elliott. That's Stacy, STACY_Elliott, 2 L's and 2 T's. You can reach me on Facebook as Stacy X Elliott or just Stacy Elliott on my like page. I look forward to hearing from you. If any questions that wasn't answered here in this interview, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you, young brother, Brother King Cam, for the honor to be on your show. And as always, salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Praise be to Allah.